This is Let's Talk Business with your host, Marc Ebinger. Now, here's Mark.
Welcome back to the Let's Talk Business podcast. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk about strategic business networking, one of my favorite topics. In studio with us today is Brandi Jo Newman, an active business networker, a financial expert, host of the Brandi Jo Show podcast, and an advocate for women's empowerment. Brandi, welcome to the show.
Mark, I just want to say one thing.
Go for it.
I've been waiting for this day.
Okay.
And your ability of your VAs to blow up my phone and remind me that I have the podcast today. And I just want to say something else, is that the way that you set this up is phenomenal. The questionnaire, the pre-show interview, that was right on.
Top notch, huh?
Yeah.
Well, only the best for you guys. But we're excited to have you here.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be a great conversation. Your personality type's just going to be a lot of fun. I think you can take some punches and you can give them as well.
Oh, yeah.
Your background's impressive, so I'm excited to get into all of that. Of course, I'm your hostess with the mostest, Marc Ebinger. I run Kruka's Virtual Staffing, a company that oversees virtual assistants for business owners here in the United States for companies for as little as $350 a month, which is super powerful to be able to get started with your own VA and start leveraging your business, scaling your business as well. Of course, one of the ways I use it is in my networking, which I do at an extremely high level. I'm not just bragging on myself. It works very, very effectively. But when you have a team behind you, you can do amazing things.
And I'm your co-host, Heather Boehme, a certified business coach and owner of Onset Professional Development, where we help overwhelmed and overworked business owners gain control of their business and time.
And I'm Howie Nestel, the co-host to the co-host. And I'm super excited to be here. And I was a guest on the podcast talking about my ad agency, Sharkmatic Advertising, a couple of years ago. And now I get to be a co-host to the co-host. So thank you all for having me. I look up sharkmatic.com if you want to know what we've been doing for the last 30 years.
Yeah. Your team, you do have a phenomenal team over there at Sharkmatic. Lots of experience right here in San Antonio. You guys do all your work. I still would love to help build you guys out a team with some VAs. To supplement what you guys are doing. But
it's part of changing the mindset. I've always thought that I had to have an in-house team to do everything and control all the creative. But there's so many supplemental things that is not worth paying my team what I pay them to do some of the things that VAs can do. So let's absolutely talk about that.
Roger that.
I've had a VA for 15 years.
Same VA?
Oh. Yeah.
Out of what country?
India.
Really?
Uh-huh.
That's super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you paying them? Can I ask?
Right to the heart of the situation.
Well, look, it is different, but it's anywhere from like $1 an hour all the way up to, I pay one of mine $10 an hour. It's like, so it can range, right? It just depends on, their qualifications and what they bring to the table. Mm-hmm. So
now they know me, my business. They know my family. They know everything that I do.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And India was very early on the VA thing, especially
Huge.
people that are well-versed in finance.
I found her on, I found her on Upwork when Upwork was just launching. Or Upwork is now something else, or something else is now Upwork or something. But yeah, she's been with me the entire time.
I think one of the most powerful tools that business owners should be utilizing is Fiverr. Like, I just used it because this whole CRM thing that you got me involved in with Jakin, which Jakin did his part, right? He gives me this big long thing. Okay, do all this to get my email right on my CRM so that when my team's sending out emails, it doesn't go to the freaking spam folder, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at all those instructions, and I'm like, I go over to Fiverr, and I find a guy, said, hey, I need help doing this. Cost me $10 to get all that done and save me a whole day of frustration.
Last March, it was my birthday. When I turned 50, I hired another VA. She's out of Africa. Her name is Kindy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I've never been afraid of the unknown.
No. That's how you get stuff done.
And there's an attorney here in town. He does all of his stuff through VA.
What kind of attorney? Is it like personal injury, business,
Divorce.
real estate? Divorce attorneys. So I would be curious. I'd love to have a conversation with them about how they handle cybersecurity, access, that kind of stuff. Keaton Freeberg, he has one of our VAs. He's an attorney. So we got some of that on the podcast, but I'd be curious to know a little bit more in that, how they approach it, because some people are completely freaked out about access and all of this kind of
So
stuff.
can you rewind a little bit and explain what VAs are? I know you mentioned, employees from other countries, but for people who tune in that are like, wait a second,
And
what are they
by the
talking
way,
about?
we're just going to turn this around and brand it as the Brandi Jo Show, as me interviewing you.
Right. No. I appreciate the question, Howie. But so it's just virtual assistant. Anything that can be done remotely can be done by somebody who's skilled, English speaking. Right, that helps from anywhere in the world. So it really opens up the talent pool to a global talent pool. And anybody who, as a business owner, if you're not tapped into that, you're missing the boat big time. Why not pay somebody $5 to $7 or $9 an hour, depending on the skill level you need, instead of paying somebody $15, $25 an hour and dealing with all their bullshit.
Yeah, I
So
had
we
a
can cuss.
I
This is a good-
had a
for sure.
CPA firm that subbed all their stuff out to VAs, and I was, I ended up finding myself talking to the VAs a lot more than I talked to the CPA partners.
You got to scale, man. I mean, everybody has employees, or at least they should be having employees if they're going to grow. All right. Well, a quick reminder to follow this awesome Let's Talk Business podcast on all major podcast platforms and social media where you can catch video versions of the show. You can get to everything by following our website at satalkradio.com. Have you guys seen the new video clips, the way they're styled now with CapCut?
Yes.
And you're liking them, yeah?
I'm liking them.
Looking
I'm
pretty
liking
good?
them. Yeah, really good.
Cool. Well, if
You're
you don't
giving
mind-
away all the secrets, CapCut Pro,
No.
et cetera. You don't mind sharing the information.
No, heck
I
no.
love
It's just, it's manpower,
Yeah.
or woman power. I mean, you got to get it
it.
done.
Yeah. Or power women.
Power women. Well, that brings
Club,
us full
club.
circle. So, Brandi Jo, tell us a little bit about your background, how you ended up where you are now, and what you're excited about, other than being on this podcast.
Other than that, okay, where I came from. I came from Kilgore, Texas, and if anybody knows where that is,
No, never heard of it.
it's
I've
where
heard
I
of it.
it's where I say the men are men and the sheep are scared. It is Piney Woods of East Texas, and I got out of there as quickly as possible.
Population 5, now 4.
11,000 some odd, and my family was from a little town. Actually, my family was from a community outside of a little town called Mount Enterprise. The community is called Concord. The city of Mount Enterprise is 475 people. That's where my dad grew up, and I came from the sticks. I started playing golf when I was 6 because my parents joined a country club and I was an only child, and that was the only thing that we did together. So,
Small community, but they had a country club.
well, we went to Longview,
Okay.
12 miles away, to play golf at the fancy country club.
Did you like golf at an early age? Did you like it right away, or was it
Yeah.
something you had to kind of grow to love?
No. I was spending time with my parents. I mean, that was what I wanted to do.
I wish my daughter would say that.
But being an only child, that's kind of the thing.
Well, in a small town, too.
Yeah.
Did they have other kids in this town?
They did. My oldest and dearest best friend, Tammy Brown, I met her at 15 months, but she didn't play golf.
So you guys aren't friends anymore?
No, we're still friends.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, Facebook friends. I know what she's doing. Everybody knows what everybody's doing, or what we want people to think that
Right,
we're
there you
doing.
go.
Started playing golf. I remember specifically having a conversation with my mother one day, and she asking me, you don't have to go to college, because we talk about programming and everything. I went to college, and I tell people that I went to college for 2 weekends, and I said, this is not for me. And so I left and turned pro and went around the world twice in my 20s. And then I met I didn't know was my wife. I met the girl of my dreams in Lakeland, Florida at the age of 28. And I didn't want to tour around the world anymore. I wanted to stay close to her. And I got recruited to join a firm in Guardian, and we were over off of 410 in Nacogdoches, and that started my financial planning career. Before that, we talked about numbers earlier. I was already in the business. At 23 years old, I got recruited off the golf course because a friend of a friend, we were playing golf with him, and he says, you're really great with people. Will you come work with me and help me build my business? And I was like, what am I going to be doing? And he says, you will play golf almost every day with my clients and their friends.
Oh, sold.
Yes.
And basically that was it. And I was living in Scottsdale, Arizona at the time.
So you're actually getting paid to play golf.
Yeah.
I mean, in essence. So it's like you were a pro golfer, actually got paid to play golf, and then you to this day.
I moved to
continue.
Scottsdale in the summer of '96, and I started working with Prudential Securities in October of '96.
Would you say that's a good way to build a business by playing golf?
I would say that because I parlayed that in 2003. I went to Terry Olivery, who was the head pro at Sunterra, and I said, I need to meet people in my element. Will you give me the first tee time after the ladies group on Thursday, because nobody wants to play in that tee time because they think it's all slow. I will let you know that women actually play faster than men. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I bet. Can I guess? Less talking, less BSing, less getting more drinks.
Less networking,
Less ego,
Yeah,
More
less ego.
efficient.
Right.
less
more
cheating.
efficient, more effective.
Guys cheat at golf, I've heard.
It's the hit and giggle. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Giggle?
Yeah.
Are you saying the guys hit and giggle or the girls?
No, the girls hit and giggle.
Oh, okay.
They hit and giggle and go on with it.
Yeah.
So he was actually very instrumental in with giving me and gifting me and bartering that tea time for me. And I sent out an email to the North Chamber of San Antonio, which at the time maybe 250 people on an email list, and that tea time was filled with 3 people that I'd never met before, and they were in the golf cart and on the golf course with me for 4.5 hours. And we figured out really quick if we were going to do business together.
So, how you play a lot of pickleball now?
Yes.
Do you see
Pickleball's the
pickleball
new
going the
golf.
same way?
It's the new golf.
But it doesn't. You don't get the talk time that you do in golf, right?
do.
Yeah, sure you
Yeah, you
do.
do.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
pickleball you do. You know where you don't get it? In tennis.
Exactly.
Tennis is more competitive. You're further
you're further
away.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. But pickleball,
Is super social.
if you've ever
Really? It's like
you
a
know-
bunch of 5-year-olds out there chasing
look,
a ball.
Let me tell you, tennis is deer hunting, and pickleball is bird hunting.
Yes!
Bird hunting is you're drinking beer, you're eating chips, you're not scaring off the birds. It doesn't matter. Deer hunting, you're alone. They drop you off at 5 a.m. You're sitting there in a blind, and you're not talking to anybody. You're not breathing.'re not on your phone. You're not anything. And so pickleball is great for that. As a matter of fact, I've done business with people that I play pickleball
Well,
with.
why don't we start like some kind of little social network?
Well, you have
around
to
it?
get good at pickleball first, Mark.
You have to be able to hit the ball. So I'll tell my last
What are you
pickleball
implying exactly?
that you have to get low in order to hit the ball.
Yeah, you do.
What
You
does
have
that
to get
mean?
low.
My
Oh, so
wife
that
and
would
I
be
went on
good.
my wife and I went on
There
a
you go.
double date pickleball with, I'll just say her name, Lori Massey-Brissett and her husband Roger. They were in the Bar Association's pickleball tournament, and she posted on Facebook, "Who wants to give us a lesson?" Well, my wife just happened to play tennis at TCU, played in the Southwest Conference, won a ring, that whole thing, and I said, "Clyde and I will go with y'all," and it was interesting. And so instead of
Did you get
Us-
stomped, or did you guys do well?
we stomped them,
You stomped them.
Come on.
I'm learning here.
But I did not want it to be a competitive thing, so I hired an instructor to come and give us a 30-minute lesson, and then we played for 30 minutes. So it was a nice
Did he
transition.
give everybody a lesson, or just you and your wife?
No, Lori and Roger.
Okay, they got a lesson.
Yeah. We were just sitting there nodding
Oh wow!
because he could tell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've gotten invited to play. I play a lot, and so I get invited. Hey, can you know, I see that you post. Let's go play. But then it's me giving them a lesson. It's not fun for me unless they're buying drinks and chicken wings. But other than that,
Chicken wing.
Well, I'll
Yeah.
have to feed and liquor you up because I'm not going to
Absolutely.
be any fun to play.
Do
I've
you-
never played.
Do you play anything? Are you active in any sporting outdoor activity?
No, but I should be, right? Well, that's why. Look, I'm very purpose driven. If I can find an angle on it that's a business angle on it, then I would do that. I'll go exercise as long as it's business related. Sorry, I'm just kind of.
and it's it's a fun game. I'll call it a sport, fine, but it's more of a game. It's an oversized ping pong. You can pick it up in not too long a period of time. I mean, tennis is super hard to pick up. This is fairly easy.
I
pick
just
up
like
and
to
you can
have fun. I like
It'll
to
be fun.
joke and have a good time. You know,
And you can do that, and you get to make fun of people.
Yeah.
And then you get to yell at them when they're
Even
in the
better.
kitchen
that's
too
right.
long.
In the kitchen too long, or it hits the line. That was out. That was in. That was in. Yeah. So it's fun.
all right. So, but let's get back on your track. So you're financial world. You're playing golf. You're hugely successful at it.
Well, the money part, yes, not the golf. People ask me why I stopped playing professionally, and I said because I was, number one, I had attitude and injuries. I didn't have a good attitude. I didn't have a good outlook. And the other thing that I say is that the competition kept getting younger and foreigner. They had this influx of Korean players where I was like, how are they doing what they're doing? And come to find out, several years later, I read a book called The Talent Code, and there was a specific golf academy in Korea that was teaching a specific effective learning process for literally everything. It just so happened that they focused on golf. And I built a team. We were with Guardian from 2003 to 2008. From 2008 to 2016, we were with One America out of Indianapolis. I sold a marketing company in 2016. I had a non-compete, and I decided to teach golf for about 5 years. I was 45 at the time, and thought, I'm going to teach golf for about 5 years and see how I can do. And teaching golf led me to study the brain, learning development, meditation, journaling, manifesting, visualization, all of that.
That's
See,
right
here's
up your
where I
alley.
really
Yep.
want to talk about
Yep.
because I'm more into
Cue
that
Heather.
stuff than these guys.
Wait,
So
why just Heather? I like that stuff
he likes
too.
that stuff.
No, but it's
Howie-
Heather's thing.
So hold on. So I saw Howie speak here at the first last Thursday that
Yeah,
I
I
came
remember that.
to, and you exude what I think what Heather and I would call the woo woo. Like you live that. You live in the moment. You enjoy
Oh, yeah,
life.
I definitely do. Some people, by the way, don't like that.
See, I struggle with the woo woo. I love the idea of it, but like actually living it is a really hard entry for me. How did that go? Was it something you just jumped into full force, or did you kind of ease your way into it? Because you don't seem like a very woo woo person just from the general get.
Thanks. I'll take that as a compliment.
Can we define woo woo just real quick?
Well,
Is it living in the moment?
I
Is
want
that all it
to
is?
define. Well, I want to ask. Are you saying that I'm serious?
No, more direct.
No,
Like
yeah.
woo woo, when you think of the word woo woo, you think like go with the flow, man. Just trust
yeah,
the
yeah.
universe, it'll come to you.
Yeah.
Which I love the idea of, but I'm a pusher.
Right.
I'm like I want it, I'm
Me
gonna
too.
make it happen, I'm gonna do it. And that's kind of like for someone newer to woo woo is very anti because I've got people telling me to go with the flow and I'm like, if I go with the flow, nothing's gonna happen because everything is slow. So
But I think that's who that's who's talking to you and who you're listening to.
fair. Like my brain, because I say a lot of things.
Yeah, who are you talking and listening to? Who's your influence from
Well, I mean, like
social media?
just in general. Oh, I don't watch. Like
Where
I
are you
read a lot
learning
of
from?
books.
What was the last book you read?
Yeah.
Or listened to? I listen to books.
So, You Are a Badass is the last
Yeah.
one I listened to. I
Yeah.
love that one.
Yeah.
And then just a bunch of them. I read Get Rich, Lucky Bitch. That was a fun one.
I hadn't heard that one.
I haven't either. I'm going to read that one.
It's a
Or
good
listen
one.
to
It's
it.
very
I like the title.
Does the
manifesting.
author read it?
Huh? Yeah, the author
Okay,
reads it.
good.
So lately it's been a lot more on the manifesting spiritual. My coach had me read The Way of the Superior Man. Hated it.
Have you ever listened to the Tao Te Ching?
Mm-mm.
It's like
Oh, I
80,
have.
80,
Loved it.
85, 86, 87 passages.
No.
And it's just little rules.
There's a free one on YouTube that you can listen to. Dr. Wayne Dyer read the Tao, and it's good, and his voice is so awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So
but-
David G is my meditation teacher who was a student of Wayne Dyer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since I'm on this side of the table, I'll defend Brandi Jo.
Thank you.
As
She
your
doesn't need
counsel,
defending.
as your woo counsel.
But it makes me feel good.
as your rule counsel. I think what you're picking up on is something that I think people have noticed in me is that they don't see me as a go with the flow, the universe will come together and present the path, because I'm also a pusher. Like I like to get things done. But I realize sometimes that the more I push, the further I get from my goals.
Amen.
And so, because I've had positive experience in guiding the boat in a particular direction, the current does the rest. And so you do have to push to some degree and know where you're going, but you're not going to do all the work to get there.
Yeah, it's like you're steering it, but you're not swimming behind it.
So you
Like,
got to know where you want
where
to
you wanna
go.
go.
You got to have a vision of what you want to live.
so tell me about the entry point then, because you said, when you were in golf, you had the not so great attitude, but then teaching golf got you into all of this. So
And
how
that
did
was
that
20
look?
years later. So I had a lot of experience in life, general, a lot with people teaching me, the good and the bad.
Yeah, and
to
people
stay
and
away
life will teach you lessons over and over again until you accept them and learn them. Because if you have a bad attitude, and I was there once, and I want to get to the money thing too, because that's super important for especially entrepreneurs when I talk about it. But life, karma, Mother Nature will present the lesson over and over and over again. You can continue to fight it, but you're going to get beat over the head with it until you either accept it or change paths. But once you learn it, you're like, wow, now you're at a next level and a next level and next level. And some people, their attitude just doesn't let them learn, and they just want to stay in that path. And that's why they buy the T-shirts that say same shit, different day, or, shit happens and you die. There's a lot more to it than that. But sometimes people's mindset don't let them get there. It does not let them get there. And I think when you say 20 years later, I get it. It's kind of like if we knew now what we knew, if we knew then what we know now, it's like, wow, what an impact we would have made.
Yeah.
But I think you have to go through that. You have to have the experience. You have to run against obstacles in order to figure
That's
out the
life.
way.
Well, and there's
Yeah.
the resistance too. It's like you almost logically know, and then spiritually there's something keeping you disconnected until finally, you pair up. I guess I don't know how to explain
Well, to
it.
answer your question, you
Yes.
asked me what the entry point was. I wanted something different. My entry point was there's only so much out here I can do. I had done everything on the outside. I had hired the coach, hired the teacher, hired the instructor, done all of that other stuff, and I never went inward. And I'm one of these people that I believe that we should be teaching meditation, stillness, being quiet, journaling, free flow writing in school as early as possible, so we can deprogram what we have inherited genetically from our families.
Yeah, and now what we've inherited through our kids and through social media and all this other stuff.
I'm terrified of social media for my kids. I have toddlers, and so I'm years off from social media, but I'm just like,
You would be
but-
surprised.
Yeah, you'll be surprised, because then they'll get on YouTube, then they'll get on TV, then they'll start seeing things that are on social media,
then they'll
even
start
though they
comparing
don't.
themselves.
Yeah, and they don't have their.
Then
They
they'll
may not
lose
have
their
their own social media, but they have
self-esteem.
access to it, and they'll have access to it through other mediums like YouTube, but then through their friends, and then their friends at school, and unless you're going to homeschool them and all that, but then there's a downside to that. Again, teaching them another way is the counter medicine for that,
I don't have kids, so
it's terrifying.
You want 3?
It's terrifying.
And they know how to journal. I gave them journals. I said, here, write in your journal all the things that you think I did wrong, so that when you're 37 and
have a list
and you're
for your
telling your
therapist.
therapist about how bad things are and how your dad didn't watch you do your stupid tricks off the diving board, you can say that you can pinpoint it back to that day and why I didn't buy you that $130 short from Lululemon.
I'm working on
Yeah.
the meditation with my 4-year-old mostly because she falls asleep. I tell her this is how we get messages from God, and then we just lay there, and then she falls asleep, and it's great.
because she needs rest.
Oh yeah, I know she
Yeah.
doesn't think she does, but she
Right.
absolutely does.
Those who fall asleep during meditation, they need rest.
Yeah. I mean, she's 3.5, so she needs it, and she stopped napping. Anyway, this isn't a parenting podcast, but it's terrifying and scary. And
Yes.
Well, I think all of us could benefit from a little bit more quiet, right? Because we're constantly getting inundated, fire hosed with stuff over the media.
Before we move on to the next topic, I do want to share with you a super cool meditation story. I may have told you all, I don't know, but 2019. In 2017, 2016, I learned to meditate from a former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations who was a monk. His name is Sichan Siv, and he became a deputy assistant secretary to George H.W. Bush. And we connected as friends. We started working out together. I did some marketing stuff for him and his books. And then I asked him to teach me how to meditate. So 2 years later, I'm still in my mind kind of like, oh, I still got to do this. And I'm making lists, in my mind while I'm trying to meditate. But he showed me some techniques that got me out of that. And 2019, July, August, I had this meditation that 2020 was a year of simplification. At the time, I owned three companies and one car hobby business. And so 2020 was supposed to be a year of perfect vision, hence 2020, and focus. So I had this overwhelming feeling that I needed to get out of the partnerships that I was in and keep my ad agency, which I'm the only owner of. And I told my partners, they said I was nuts and whatever. So I sold the companies before December 31st, 2019. March 2020 hits. And all hell breaks loose, including with my ad agency. I mean, our revenue was down 40%. I was like, what the hell? And these other companies are like, oh, how did you know? I go, I know this is going to sound super weird, especially coming from me, but it was from a meditation.
You didn't say you were watching Alex Jones?
No. But anyway, so your super conscious mind, the universe, I mean, what your subconscious can't see or your conscious mind really can't see, the superconscious mind already knows it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of the universal intelligence, just being there to
just trying to be as quiet as possible so you can hear what it's trying to tell you.
Right. And we all have had those things that happen in our lives where we're like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that. And you still jumped off that cliff, but or the other way around. You did, and you're like, you don't know why you did it. Normally I wouldn't have done it, but something told me to do it, and you did it, and it worked out well. So we've all had those moments, even if we're not meditating.
Well, and that's the thing, I think, at a high level, entrepreneurship is just a mental game. Because
100%.
If you look at a bunch of the people who have, quote unquote, made it, depending on your definition, most of them aren't any smarter or any, some of them are less hardworking.
Heather, and that's why they make it in multiple industries.
Yeah.
And they might go bankrupt eventually in one, but then they spin up. Next thing you know, they have another $300 million a year business.
Because it's the process. It's not the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're learning the skills it takes to be successful in your own definition.
So you do financial planning and money's not important to you. But is it important to your clients?
Right.
Yes and no. So when I came, after my 50th, well, as my 50th birthday was approaching, I kept telling my wife, I don't want to be some 60-year-old leather bag standing on a practice tee teaching people. My skin can only handle so much. But I kept, in my meditation practice, in my prayer, in my reading, it kept coming to, you need to do more. You have more to give. What is it that you're going to do? And I don't know who was asking me that or what. But I talked to my mother a little bit. Obviously, I talked to my wife a little bit. I talked to David G., my meditation teacher, a little bit. I talked to my pastor. And in those 3 out of 4 conversations, legacy kept coming up. And in financial planning, one of the keystones is legacy. And everybody thinks that is somehow tied to a dollar sign with commas and zeros. And it's not. It's what you are leaving and what you are imprinting and leaving an impression on the next generation. It doesn't necessarily, 99 times out of 100, it is not the dollars that you're leaving behind. It's how you went about this life. And what you're leaving behind is either your mindset or your belief system or your philosophy in that context. There's a lady here in town, Cassandra Vitaka. You need to have her on your podcast. Cassandra Vitaka Mitchell. I recruited her in 2008 when I was building a team in Dallas. And she will tell you that I changed her life because of money. Money wasn't the kicker. Money was the means for her to do something more with her life. And I remember asking her a question, and she'll tell you this story, that I asked her what type of legacy did she want to leave for her son. She had one son, Grayson. And the way that she studies the Bible, the way that she studies religion, the way that her relationship with God is that she knew that it wasn't about money. But that opportunity that I presented to her to join my team was how she got to the next level in her life. So what Mark and I were talking about earlier was why I started Power Women. And I didn't start Power Women. I started San Antonio Power Women. I met a lady at an NLP conference in Austin, Texas in February of 2020.
Neuro-linguistic programming, or
Yes.
does it mean something else?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay.
We're in the back. You can totally tell that we're mischievous and we're, shit talkers to a degree. And we just kicked it off. We loved each other instantly. And she was telling me about this brand, Power Women, and how she started this Facebook group because she needed help with carpooling. And so I go on Facebook and I look, and it's 11,000 women only, no men, 11,000 women in Little Rock, Arkansas,
All carpooling or what?
and drinking wine and asking questions
Networking.
and having anonymous conversations with each other. I asked her, I said, what are you doing with this group? And she says, it's just there. And she says, we have some events, we do this, super loose, and me being direct and a driver and wanting to build things. I'm like, you need to figure out how to monetize this thing, Claire. She's like, I just don't know, because she is a full-time, 125% of the time realtor that builds a team. She has her own brokerage. She has her own brand. She used to be with Keller Williams. Now she's not. She's independent. So that was February of 2020. You look it up now, it's 27,000 women. So from 2020 until September of last year, I kept talking about the monetization. You just need to have, events. You need to get these women together in a room. Because I'm one of these big believers that passive marketing, like we're sitting here right now, this is passive. We're having an active conversation, but somebody is on the outside looking at us, hoping that somebody calls Howie for their SEO and to build their website, hoping that somebody calls me to either join Power Women or for me to do their financial planning, to hire you to build their VA team, and to hire you to take the pressure off of them as an entrepreneur. Passively, I think that sometimes people aren't inclined to make that first phone call. They got to get to know you. So they have to get in a room with you. They've got to feel your energy. And then that's what attracts them to make the next move to say, I want to talk to you about financial planning.
It's networking.
And that in and of itself, that's networking. But there's also a connection that's made there. And so that's why I like to call it connecting people and collaborating with people instead of networking, because I think networking just has, I tend to poo-poo that moniker or that term. So I went to her and I said, let me have a Facebook page. And she said no. And then about a month later, she calls me and she says, I want to have a wealth summit. And I said, okay, what does that look like? She says, well, it looks like you flying to Little Rock, coming to Encore Bank, teaching a class with Shamim Okala, who is Community Outreach Director for Encore Bank in Little Rock. And she sent out, I think, one Facebook post and an email, and about, I think it was close to 50 ladies showed up. Wow. And that Facebook post went out on Monday and the email went out on Wednesday, and we had the Wealth Summit on Thursday night.
Yeah.
That's the power of a plugged-in group.
And me being me, I was like, where was the follow-up? And where was the,
where was the marketing campaign
and
here?
Where was the marketing campaign? And then how did you funnel all these people through and get them, no, it was like bam, bam, people show up. I got 3 clients out of the deal. If you know anything about financial planning, I made about $20,000 off of those 3 clients with just flying to Little Rock, and I spent less than 24 hours in Little Rock. And then that relationship was sparked with those people in that room. In February, I called her and I said, let's do a Facebook group or let's not, and I'm going to move on and I'm going to build my own brand. She goes, okay, I'll give you a Facebook group. So she did the Facebook group. I partnered with Karen Evans, who's here in town. She knows everybody. She was the membership director at the chamber, the big chamber, for 15 years. You ask Karen to do something, and if she believes in what you do, she will help you. And she basically marketed the first luncheon. I built the first luncheon. She really didn't have any clue as to what was going to go on in the luncheon. But after those conversations with my teacher, my wife, my mom, my pastor, I felt the need to bring the 80% of us in the middle together to have hard conversations. This is how this manifested for me. And I believe that there's 40% of us on the right and there's 40% of us on the left that we actually agree that we want the same things. We just don't agree how to get those things done, because I believe it's the 10 on the end that are pulling us apart. And me, being a conservative, being involved in the Republican Party, founding a PAC, a conservative PAC, and wanting to have those conversations with the people on the other side, which I'm very close with. I believe that especially women, I believe that if we can get together in the middle, we can get the 10s on the end to shut up and stop speaking for us. And that's kind of how this has manifested itself. The way that San Antonio Power Women makes money is through memberships of these people that actually have a business or an idea. The word incubation has come out of conversations that I've had with my advisory council. A woman has an idea, a woman has a business, an existing business, or they need help trying to figure something out. They can come and they can feel safe in discussing those things. Our entry-level memberships are $225. And I told Mark that I give a great example. Malia Pham, who owns a franchise called House of Color, she has a territory on the south side that's very near to Brooks City Base, and she does color analysis for people. I had this done in 2005. It's an image and a branding. It's a marketing thing. So if you want to elevate your brand or elevate your appearance to attract a better client, you can get a color analysis, and it'll be amazing how you spark.
Yeah. Did we meet her at the My People referral group? I think she was there. I remember somebody with color analysis. She had not a color wheel, but a swatch.
There's a couple of franchises here in town. Yeah.
Did she tell you that blue was your color? Because, I mean, when I came in and I saw you, I go, that's your color. I mean, that looks good. Because people have told me that whatever's your color, mostly it's like something that's blocking the view of me. But no, I mean, that looks good on you, blue and gray and,
Yeah, summer is my tone. Summer,
Gotcha.
It's summer and winter. And so there's spring and falls and there's summer and winter.
So you put her in touch with somebody at Brooksy, or somebody else did in the group? You said I'm sorry, I interrupted you with the example. So she was doing that.
So she was invited to one of the luncheons, and the luncheon was in June. And we have the monthly luncheons are basically hard topics and hard conversations. And I asked some, Trish DeBerry said I asked provocative questions. And I'm like, well, yeah, hello.
That's how you have hard conversations,
that's
right? You start with provocative questions.
She came to the panel in June, and it was Gina Easley, who works for MPLX, Liz Tullis, who is a strategic planner and founded Conrad Smiles. Her son, Conrad, suffered it's called infant near drowning syndrome, and now they have called it Conrad syndrome here in the state of Texas. And Kimmy Lynn Reed, who is a narcissistic behavior abuse coach. And so the panel discussion was about power and control, how it can be good and bad, how we can use it not to our advantage, but how we can use our own power to either advocate for ourselves or advocate for others, but also the flip side of that, how it can become toxic. And when she came to the luncheon, she was instantly, we're talking about Malia Pham now, she was instantly she was invested. She was like, these are the conversations that we need to have. But when she called me and she says, I want to meet, and so I met with her, and just something really resonated with her. And she decided to join. And my rundown of making sure that I do a good job of marketing her business, I give them almost a rundown questionnaire like you do for our interview. And, it'll take her a while to really answer those questions in detail, so I will know exactly how to set her up with my network. So basically, San Antonio Power Women is me renaming and rebranding my network. And it just so happens that I'm attracting other, not only powerful women, but women who want to come into their own power.
Cool.
That's great.
When's the next
needed.
luncheon?
It is always the first Wednesday of every month.
First Wednesday of the month.
This next August 7th is Women in Collaboration. It's Dawn White Fostick, who is CEO of CAM. It is Courtney Laverty, who's CEO of Through Project, and Angelica Avila, who's on the board of Pearls Foundation.
Now, is the luncheon open to everybody, or do you have to be a member of the...
It's open to everybody, women only.
Okay.
You send in your spy,
No.
Jennifer, or what?
So tell me about your group, $250 to be part of the group,
$225.
$225, and what does that get?
Well, really that gets me as your marketing advocate.
Is
That's
that per month, per year?
per year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the big vision goals for this?
The big vision goal is we are the proof of concept for a franchise model.
Well, it seems like it's pretty heavily dependent upon the person running it having a network, because if it's like, well, you get access to my network and you get access to the events that are going to be going on, at least first access. I'm guessing there's probably a limited number of tickets for a luncheon, or no?
Yeah, there's 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're going to go first out to the people that are part of your network, or or you just kick them out to meet up and whoever joins?
So we send an email out first. I have about 3,200 people on my email list, and that includes men. And then what's funny is that the men will sign their wives up because they think their wives need to go out and do something. I've had this happen twice in the last month. They're like, you need more friends, is what I hear. Yeah. Which is usually the opposite.
Yeah,
The
don't
wives
like
want the
that.
men to have more
Yeah.
friends. Goes out to my network first on our Facebook group. We have 717 members in our Facebook group. And then it's released on Eventbrite and Meetup.
Okay, so back to the franchising model then. So it's really, it's you. It's that person. You're selling the network, right? How scalable is that?
As far as a franchise model, our territory, or my territory, I should stop saying our because it's just me. My territory is the 7 counties within the MSA of Bexar County, all the 6 other counties that touch Bexar County. I have a vision that we don't need one big, huge San Antonio Power Women network, that we need 10 within this one region. We need probably 3 in Austin. We probably need an equivalent 10 in Dallas, an equivalent 10 in Houston, probably 3 to 5 in Fort Worth. If we can build and find other entrepreneurs that want to leverage their own network and give something back to their community, which is what I'm doing by solidifying my legacy and giving back and sharing my experiences as an entrepreneur, a professional athlete, as a wife, as a daughter, as a friend, as somebody who has fucked up way more many times than anyone is usually allowed to, and still be sitting here somewhat successful, that they need to have that same attitude to give back to their community as well.
How do you sell that though? Because it's like if they have their own network, I mean, what's the value proposition that the actual
I think the
franchise
value
brings?
proposition is you are, and here's my experience. I have been thrust into the limelight within San Antonio in these pockets. Everybody, and I shouldn't say everybody, but everybody that I knew already knew me. Now there are other people that now know me for a different reason and for a better reason.
And this could be what people
I'm
really
still
are.
not clear, though.
But if you find that person in that county and the other cities, et cetera, that are looking for their purpose, how to create their legacy while they're still alive, and really work on it, and it's purpose, it's meaning, it's this is my calling, and it's related to business because that's how they make a living. I think it's perfect. But but to your point, it has to be the right person.
Yeah.
But I think that percentage is small. You know, I used to think everybody wants to give back.
No.
Everybody wants to do. No, most people.
That's the sad
But
part.
that's the thing that, like, I kind of hear less, like, what do you get out of it, and more, it's tribe.
Yeah, certainly tribe.
Because
which
humans
givers
are
gain,
drawn
of
to
course.
tribe, and if you've got a tribe of like-minded people who are all trying to do bigger things in the world, and because, you know, the things that we do are hard, and when you have somebody to talk to about that who not only gets it, but helps you through it instead of just being like, that sucks, life sucks,
Yeah.
and everything
Well, I get it
sucks,
from a
but, like,
consumer level.
Life sucks, move on.
Yeah.
I'm just not getting it from the, how do you sell the person on it? Is it the structure?
I don't know if you need to
you're
sell
a
the
part of
And
it.
I
on
don't
it.
think you need to sell it. They come.
Why wouldn't they just do it themselves? Why do
They
I need to
can.
buy a franchise?
Yeah, well, they can. That's
They
what
can.
Brandi
No,
Jo
no,
was
no.
going to do. But this is easy. It's why
buy any
Yeah, why
franchise?
buy exactly?
Because-
why buy any franchise?
Right.
But
And
that's your
for the
answer. I'm
system-
curious what your answer is on
No, that's
the
Heather
selling
and
part of
I's
it.
answer.
Because it's like,
But
if
I'm
you're trying
not
to sell the,
selling anything.
well, okay, if they're going to buy a franchise, I mean, I can play this game too, right? If they're going to buy
Who
a
are
franchise,
they? So who are they?
whoever that person is that, like you,
Who is that person?
let's say it's another one of you.
Is there another one of me?
Well,
That's kind of the thing. But there is someone in general who is like me. In Houston, they have raised their hand and they have said, I want to do this in Houston. And we have had conversation after conversation after conversation. And the conversations are all, do your values, do your principles align with mine?
I don't think it's selling, Mark. I think it's attraction. It
Right.
attracts the right people who
I know what you're
ask.
getting at. It's like,
Do
okay,
you?
who's going to put up the money to go do this, and what are the
I
economics?
just want to know what is the point that triggers somebody to say, I want to do this. Now, I get it, attraction, but that's what I was looking for. I was looking for the answer is to say, well, I just want to be a part of something that is working and that is exciting and that is a tribe, but I want to be to be able to give back at a higher level in a tribe mentality. I just wanted to understand what that was. What's that thing that actually triggers them to say, I want to be a part of that?
That's like asking who wants to be a leader. You think that everybody would want to. Most people don't want to. Most people would rather be a passenger on the bus and let somebody else take
I
them
think
there and
I have
lead
a
them on
funnier
an
analogy.
expedition.
It's like, why do you want to be a Dallas Cowboys fan? They lose. They have not won the Super Bowl since 1995. My dad still bleeds blue and silver. Why? I don't know. It's his tribe. He loves it. He's been in love with it since 1975 when he first saw them play. Why? No freaking clue. They're not a great team. But they have a die-hard fan base who, if you asked them if they would like step up for the Cowboys, they would. That man has a brick in their new stadium made from a brick from the old stadium. Can't tell you why. They've never done a single thing for him in his entire life. They have actually put holes in our walls. He got so mad that he threw the remote and it just stuck in the drywall. But it's his tribe. I don't get it.
so that's what we're talking about then is tribe.
Yep. And if you look at the brand and the image of the logo and the name, it's valuable. Just sitting there on that business
Yeah.
card. It's good.
Well, plus, like, I mean, if you're talking straight political too, I mean, there's a lot of
Gotta be honest,
unrest
it's
in
not
that area.
the brand. I mean, it's
You're
okay.
a dude, man.
Well, I guess
you
it's a
don't
women
You are
need
thing.
not
to
the target
understand.
demographic here.
Especially being a
Because
next
I heard her
cop.
talking, I was like, I'm going to the
like
next
you
luncheon.
have fun, dude. Man, come on.
Oh yeah, I have fun
No,
all
he
the
has
time.
fun.
Usually at Howie's
Yeah,
expense. but
yeah. Literally.
But that's the
Credit
thing.
card expense.
Just like when I ask you if you do anything outside of business, and you basically said no.
No, I like business, networking.
He's a
business.
professional margarita drinker. I don't know if you know that about
But that's
him.
the game that you play. It just so happens to be called business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah,
greatest
but I am
game.
interested in pickleball.
Yeah, we're on. We got Emad, we got Keaton, we got Adam from To the Moon Moving.
We got your little club.
Yeah,
Or
well,
what?
hey, Kirby plays pickleball. and
Where do
takes
you
it
play?
very
Chicken and
seriously.
pickle?
Kirby's
Or
literally
I mostly
moving to
play at Chicken and
Chicago in,
Pickle.
like, 2 months.
Then I've been invited to play a couple of other places, but my favorite is Chicken and Pickle because it's indoors. And then I have a client. We did a website for them, Hands Pickleball. They do pickleball equipment, but he's a partner in Texas Pickle Hall, and we just finished the website for that. And they're going to open up at 35 and 1604.
Oh,
right
That's
there
the
in
chicken and
University.
pickle competitor.
Competition, yes.
Yeah.
It's not set up the same. It's not as big. There's not going to be all the food and all the booze, but it's going to be a cool indoor facility with one outdoor court.
When are they
13
opening?
courts. Fall. They just got their permit. They already broke ground.
35 and
And 1604 across from IKEA. So you go
Okay.
up out I-35.
Yeah.
IKEA's on the left as you're heading north.
I wouldn't
this
call
is
that
on the
chicken
right.
and pickle competition. That's way too far.
Well, no competition in the sense
concept.
that
Yeah, the
it's
concept,
it's
though.
a multiple indoor air conditioned courts.
Nice.
just like I believe that there should be a main competitor to Golf Tech.
I'm thinking there should be a competitor to this SA powered women's
Yeah.
Go
group.
for it.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
have no
What should we
idea how
call
much
it?
I
It's called
love
the United
competition.
States of America.
Why don't you call it White Power Man?
Well, we talked about competition for blue collar.
Blue Collar Connect. It's White Collar Connect.
White Collar
You
Connect.
white collar business
Heck
owners.
yeah, let's do that.
They're rolling in, just crashing the blue collar beers
Right.
tomorrow.
Love it. All right, so this is obviously going to feed your network, the San Antonio Powered Women. All right, what does that look like in 5 years?
I think the numbers, just like what I said, the smaller tribes within San Antonio, Houston, Austin,
And
maybe not Dallas.
Are you planning on having national events once you get expanded?
Yes, but I think that's going to be up to Claire. We've had the conversations. There are franchise agreements written that we haven't negotiated yet because she hasn't seen them. It's just my team, my attorneys putting them together. I plan to pick Jim's brain ongoing.
I pick Jim's brain constantly.
He was the first person that I came to with the idea of partnering with established businesses, and he was the one that came up with allied partners. And I said, I'm stealing that. He says, please do.
And what do you mean by allied partners?
So what Jim, Venture X Northwest has done, he and Audrey went down their pricing sheet and gave San Antonio Power Women exclusive pricing, just being associated with San Antonio Power Women. I don't believe that you have to have a financial obligation to join Power Women. I want your name, your email address, and your phone number. That's how you are a member. But if you want to take advantage and leverage my expertise and then some of the other ladies that are on the team to leverage their expertise as well, there has to be a financial obligation. With what Jim and Audrey have done, they have given us very nice exclusive pricing being associated with San
Yeah.
Antonio Power Women.
So what's the reason behind it being women only?
The most powerful aspect of it is that women have an easier time introducing themselves and introducing other people in their network. And in my experience, being in the real world since I was 21 years old, getting on a plane and flying around the world, and I tell people that I have a PhD in culture and people because I've seen, smell it, and tasted it all around the world. I think women in general are the catalyst to change. And if you go back to what I said earlier, we have got to change the way that we speak to each other, the way that we treat each other, and be more invested in the conversations that we're having with each other, especially what happened this last weekend.
How does excluding men from it make that a better environment for that?
I didn't say that men were excluded. I did say that you cannot come to the luncheon. But Jim Garrett, who I just mentioned, He's part of Power Women.
But he can't go to the luncheon.
Deborah
Okay.
can.
So let's talk about the luncheon.
Mm-hmm.
How does excluding men from the luncheon improve the experience for your
Improve the experience for a woman. So what happened in June, and granted, May was highly produced. We had audio, we had video, we had B-roll going, we had a still photographer as well. There was a lot going on. And it was all focused on the panel, and really it was focused on me. In June, we dialed back a little bit. We only had one still photographer. I did not allow anyone to do any video with their phones, and the amount of participation from the 32 ladies that were sitting at the tables was incredible. They felt safe enough to stand up and talk about their own experiences with power and control, good and bad. And it was nice.
But I'm still not seeing a connection between, that
Do
having
you really
a good
think a woman is going to say something in front of a man that has everything to do with that man being a man? No. So that is why I exclude men from the luncheons, because we want to have those hard conversations and we want those women to feel safe. And there is a dynamic between a man and a woman that is just different.
meaning that a woman's more apt to shut down in the presence of a man in that kind
Yeah.
of environment?
Yeah.
Also, men tend to, not in every case, but they tend to speak louder, quicker, more directly. So if we're talking about sensitive topics and there was a man and a group of women, I bet a big chunk of the time a man would be talking, just in general. Like, no offense to men, but it is statistically
you're right.
proven
You're
that
both absolutely
you guys
right.
jump
That's-
You know what?
I-
And let me give you a great example about how I would say the men's just about in general, y'all just being inept when it comes to the way that you view women. I'll give you a great example. I'm standing on the 18th tee at Tapatio Springs on Friday. I'm playing with my wife and my good friend Kara, who is having to move back to Arkansas. She works for Walmart. And one of the things that she wanted to do was to play with us at Tapatio before she had to move back. I'm sorry her husband Rob could not join us because it would have been a kick-ass time. Standing on the 18th tee, waiting on the group in front of us. And this guy in flip-flops who is in the middle of the 18th fairway, and you can tell that they have no clue what they're doing. He turns around in his golf cart and comes straight at us coming down the fairway, almost pulls up on the tee box. And you could tell that when he gets out of the cart, he's being sweet, he's being honest, and he's going to give us 2 pink balls that he found. Well, that just pissed me off. Number one, it pissed me off because he was disregarding and disrespecting the game by driving his golf cart where his golf cart shouldn't have been driven. He's out there wearing flip-flops. He is tossing pink balls at us, and I go over and I pick them up and I toss them back, and I basically said, no, thank you, in more words than that. And my wife is mortified. And I'm just like, why do men have to do that? Why do you have to think that just because we're women playing a great game, why do you think that we want pink balls? Why do you think that?
Because we're
You're now
because we're
speaking for
Neanderthals.
all men.
I'm speaking for all men because we're Neanderthals, because we don't
No,
we don't
that's not accurate.
No, I'm telling you,
Here we go. Now Mark's going to defend men.
No,
Yeah,
Mark.
I am.
Mark.
It's just human.
Men are more
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's human.
We're more instinctive and we don't think things through. If you look at the countries like Israel, Great Britain, Germany that have been led by women, you'll see that they got a lot more accomplished that has lasted for years and decades since then than when men led certain countries. And it is way past due that we have a woman president in the United States and in much more powerful positions. You look at the women that run some of these multi-billion-dollar companies and have in the past, it's incredible how much they accomplish and how much better the work environment is for everybody, for men and women, when you have women at the top.
Well, the only thing I was trying to
So-
get clarity on is understanding what the difference in the opportunity is.
Safety, number one. You feel, I want women to feel safe enough to where they can say anything. Even if it's something that me and the panel don't even agree with, come at us. Because the panel is strong enough. I've placed the people on the panel that I've spent enough time with. Maybe not Angelica. She might be a little, I haven't met her yet. She might be.
Hopefully she's strong enough.
I
We
know.
got this.
That Renee Yanta referred her. I have ability there. To feel safe enough to challenge, but also feel safe enough to participate and to add value to it without being, lack of a better word, gaslighted by some damn mansplaining man.
You know, because there's men-only groups out there as well, and I would ask them the same questions because I want to understand what's the advantage.
And I understand that. So coming from golf, growing up in a private country club, I understand the way that you can be exclusive. The men belong in the men's grill and the women belong in the women's card room. That's the difference. There's a difference. We're not the same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's good. That's really all I was trying to get at was to understand, what the advantage is there. Because I mean, clearly there is an advantage, but what is the advantage that you're focusing on there? And it really is
For them to
provide
feel safe.
a safe environment for them to be able to communicate, share their ideas, and learn from each other.
And not have it be zero about business. Have it be truly about collaboration and changing the world for the better. Because that's how changing the world for the better comes out of those conversations.
There was a time at Sharkmatic where I had only men working for me. And then there was a time when I've only had women working for me. Just not on purpose. That's just the way it worked out. And I'm talking about not a lot of people, 5 or 6, all of the same gender. And we got a lot more done with, believe it or not, less bickering, fighting, and whatever with women than we did with men.
Well, my VA team's all women right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, in fact, when I have usually that discovery call with folks, and I'm like, what are you looking for? If it's in the executive assistant space, especially if there's multitasking and customer service involved, women do a great job in that area, at least, in my experience. You know what I mean? So
I listened to Simon Sinek on a podcast a couple of weeks ago. I want to say it was Diary of a CEO. He talks about how women CEOs are, I guess they're more calculating. They're not risk averse. They're better. They calculate the risk better. And they're not one to jump and say, we're just going to go for it.
Yeah. And women leaders are much more multifaceted than men. Men operate on 3 cylinders, whereas
But they're
women might be
big
firing
cylinders.
on 8 cylinders. There's different things that they take into
puts out
account.
a lot of horsepower.
No. And men are like, that direction, let's just go. Burn the boats. Let's take the island.
Well, I was listening to this one podcast of a woman who she listened to, I don't remember what the book was, but it was a CEO who wrote a memoir. And at 17, he got his girlfriend pregnant. And then at the age of 18, he decided he was going to go, off to New York. So off he went to New York to go build his career and sleep on couches. And the whole book's about him going from couch surfing in New York to CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. And her point was, you just left the kid? We can't leave the kid. What? His girlfriend didn't leave the kid. She had to stay back. And there's no daycares. Couch surfing in New York, that's just not an option. And it is an interesting dynamic because same, first evening networking events or children. I'm going to prioritize them and then
But
figure
that's
the
why
rest
those
out. And
stories
it's
like
different.
Pursuit of Happiness are such the outliers, where the dad becomes a financial advisor, but he's taking care of his kid and putting him in daycare and bathing him in the bathroom, in a public bathroom, stuff like that. It's the outlier. And so you want to celebrate that story, but you don't see that repeated that often, but you see it a lot. It's just the natural progression with the moms, and even if they don't have children, it's how they deal and treat family and those kinds of things. That's where I think we lack. I have a men's group. We go up to Wimberley for every year, about 120 guys. And part of what I do are things that make them uncomfortable. So it's not sensitivity training, but we'll have speaking groups and we'll have, round tables and we'll have moderators and they come in and everybody's, oh my God, no, we're going to do that. All they want to do is drink, eat, smoke cigars, cuss, bring a comedian, entertain us.
Yeah.
But then they do that stuff and they're like, oh man, I love that. That was like my favorite activity. Don't do enough of that. We don't do enough of that. And it doesn't make you weaker and doesn't make you whatever. As a matter of fact, some of the strongest men, both physically and financially or whatever, are the ones that really enjoy it the most. Because it gives them a chance to get in touch with whatever it is, their more sensitive side, or connect at a different level with people. And you get to really know people like that, especially when your female mate is not around and whatever, because now men get to say some things that whatever. And then they say, oh, wow, we're all in the same boat kind of thing, So I get it. I love it. I think we need more of that. As a matter of fact, in that group, I also take the under 40s and the over 40s, and then I separate those groups, and then we do subgroups of those. Because as a 60-year-old, I don't have the same connections as, or things as a 25-year-old.
So wisdom differentiation, right?
You would think. Until you start losing your wisdom, and then you're back to the 20 group. Yeah.
All right, good.
That was awesome.
Well, we covered a lot of ground in an hour, so that wasn't too bad. What did you think of the discussion? Yeah,
I can talk all day.
I wouldn't have guessed that. All right, as we wrap up, Brandi Jo, if folks want to get in touch with you and learn more about San Antonio Powered Women, how do they do that?
I would just make it simple, and they can just Google me, Brandi Jo Newman, on Google. I'm at Brandi Jo Newman on all socials, and that's about it. Yeah.
Cool. Great job, everybody. As we wrap up the show, quick reminder, check out our latest podcast and catch video version of the show anytime by visiting our website at SA Talk Radio. What are you doing over there, Howie?
I'm ready to push the mic out. I always like to give you the last word.
Oh, okay. Anyway, check out our website, satalkradio.com. That's going to be it for this week. Thanks, everybody. Great job. We'll see you on the next one.